Oh, I do see Michelle with County Fire here. So I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Looks like I've got 6:44 p.m. Welcome to you who are here and also those of you on Zoom. And so first, let's go through the roll call. I am here. Vice Chair Victoria is absent and excused. Council Member Stephanie Dyer. Let's see her. Brand, you're here. Here. Jinwei. Okay, Garth is here. Our minutes taker for this meeting is Joanna Pace. So the first agenda item is the minutes of their last meeting, February 21st. Is there any discussion or corrections? Looking for a motion to approve. Second. Okay, the motion from Royer, second Joanna. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Yeah. All right, treasurer's report, Ronnie.
Yep, we're still sitting at $3,000.
How can we do that?
We haven't used any yet.
Well,
No table deputy.
Oh, yes. My mind is applesauce. I'm sorry. So let me just do it. So we should be at 2,800, I believe.
okay.
Yeah, but I can double check to make sure we have that corrected.
Okay, so then presentation one, Ronnie would be your office.
Yes. So
do me a favor, do you have much to say? You come over here with
yeah.
the folks who see you.
Yeah, let me actually I'll just bring it with me.
On the X like we're in theater class. All right, so I'm going to be giving the county report for this month. Starting with noise ordinance and issues. County planning is developing a survey to distribute to all MACs soliciting details on noise concerns and issues. This survey should be distributed in approximately 1 month. And the survey will be used as county planning reaches out to all MACs to get input from them, and MAC members and others will be invited to join the county-wide work group. These findings of this outreach and any recommendations will be reported to the Board of Supervisors before the end of this year. And just to touch on a community coffee event with Supervisor Joya and Sheriff deputies. Supervisor Joya reported on the successful April 6th community coffee event at the Elsa Bronte Library. About 40 residents came to hear updates on local issues. Looking down to animal services, Supervisor Joya announced that the county conducted interviews for a new animal services director, and will be making the appointment at the Board of Supervisors meeting next week. The new director will be invited to speak at future MAC meetings. And use of the P District Sheriff revenues. The county held an annual assessment for sheriff services on new homes built since the mid-1990s. That revenue is not sufficient to fund a new full-time sheriff deputy, but is sufficient to fund some additional services to address quality of life and other crime-related issues. The Board of Supervisors Public Protection Committee will be discussing this issue at an upcoming meeting, and Supervisor Joy will work with the MAC to solicit input on uses for this money. And so we down to a public services garbage franchise. The county is negotiating with the public services on terms and conditions for any extension of their collection franchise for unincorporated areas in West County, including El Sobrante. The franchise agreement does end on December 31st of this year, and Supervisor Joya indicated that the county is discussing opportunities to expand services and benefits, including increasing illegal dumping enforcement and transitioning garbage trucks from diesel to zero emissions. And that's East Richmond High School is also included. That's a Monday. Jumping down to our funding, youth sports, and use of West Country Unified School District fields and facilities. Supervisor Joy has stated that the Board of Supervisors approved on April 9th a proposal to spend $400,000 from health district funds to subsidize the use of the school district's fields by West County nonprofit youth groups. And the funding will also support a new position to work with school districts to expand the district's capacity to open up their fields for community use. And a little bit about the expansion of basic healthcare. Supervisor Joy announced last week that the Board of Supervisors approved on April 9th an expansion of its basic healthcare program to cover individuals regardless of their immigration status. And this program provides healthcare to individuals who do not qualify for Medi-Cal, but whose income is between 138% to 300% of federal poverty levels. And jumping down to for a brief update on the Kensington site visit. In response to the growing community issues surrounding the private road on Kensington Avenue, Supervisor Joya organized a comprehensive site visit in early March, and representatives from County Public Works, Code Enforcement, Planning, and the Sheriff's Office attended this site visit along with residents and property owners. The visit aimed to assess the road's conditions and impact on the community, and by engaging with residents and relevant stakeholders, Supervisor Joy's office continues to actively understand the challenges faced by Kensington Avenue residents and to explore viable solutions. During this meeting, it was made clear that Contra Costa Consolidated Fire District does not believe that it serves as a public safety purpose to open Kensington Avenue through traffic. And code enforcement and the sheriff will follow up on code enforcement and vehicle issues to determine future actions. And finally, county budget hearings. And county budget hearings will be held next Monday and Tuesday, and residents are encouraged to provide any public input they have on county budget.
Okay, so council members, first from you, do you have any questions or comments on that?
Can you provide the date and time and place of the hearing? Where's that?
Yeah,
You like for each thing like that, and then the public protection meeting. And the appointment is always, it's on Tuesdays at 9 AM, the Board of Supervisors meeting. And I believe the public protection, Supervisor Joy, I don't think I heard you say anything about the backyard breeding ordinance that is being discussed. Did we talk about that at all?
no, did not bring that up, but I can never follow up.
What was that? What was that you're gonna follow up on? I didn't hear that.
The backyard breeding
Okay,
ordinance.
okay.
Supervisor Joy is spearheading.
Okay,
Um,
okay, thank you.
Okay, further council members? Nothing. Okay, anyone in the audience here, have any questions or comments? Okay, and you folks on Zoom, do any of you have any questions or comments of Ronnie? Okay. All right, Ronnie, thank you. All right, we'll go to our next presentation is Contra Costa County Fire Protection District, and I see Michelle is with us. Michelle?
Hello, Chair Sargent and MAC board members. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak today. The first item, I would like to provide you with some information as you prepare for a more active wildfire season with the upcoming Confire preseason town halls. Events will be held throughout the county, one in each district. If you are unable to attend in person, no worries. We invite you to watch the event on the Confire Facebook page. The video will be posted on the day following each event, and topics will include prevention, planning, preparation, and response. In addition to allowing ample time for your questions, we'll address the protection of your home, family, and neighbors from wildfire danger. I look forward to seeing and meeting each of you. No RSVP is necessary. All are welcome to attend, and the event closest to your neighborhood will be held in Pinole on Saturday, May 11th from 10 AM to 11 AM. It will be held at the fire station number 74 with a fire station open house from 10 AM to 2 PM. The address is 3700 Pinole Valley Road in Pinole, We're also celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the contract of service between Confire and the city of Pinole. So this gives you a chance to meet your local firefighters, explore different fire apparatus. Feel free to bring the kids for fun activities and learn to be wildfire ready for the 2024 season. The Wildfire Mitigation Program welcomes applicants to the Low Income Exterior Hazard Control Program portion of our program. You may access this program and others by visiting the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District website. This program allows for $1,500 to address Zone 0 defensible space projects. As you may remember, Zone 0 is that space 0 to 5 feet from your home or structure. It does require last year's tax return to verify income on a sliding scale. So we ask that you please redact your social security number because it is not needed to determine eligibility. Next item is wildfire mitigation and fuel reduction work continues with our Crew 12 hand crew team and Powers Forestry, which is our contractor, working on projects submitted in the public web-based portal for the Contra Costa County Wildfire Mitigation Program. I will share the site in the chat for those online. I will also provide a summary, by the way, to Ronnie and team. So you'll have that information available not only for your meeting minutes, but to refer back later to if needed. If technology support is needed when a resident is accessing our site, please feel free to reach out to me by cell phone. My number is 925-440-5831. And I'm here to support the residents as they identify potential mitigation projects and may face some technology challenges. So my next update is the Lafayette Walnut Creek Shaded Fuel Break has completed almost 70 acres in the first 60 days. The contractor is chipping on site where they have access to the chipper. In areas where they have limited access based on terrain, we will utilize pile burning as a way to rid ourselves of those fuels. That is expected to start this month with the assistance of Crew 12, and we're working on all of the permits required for pile burning. The progress of this project, I know it's not in your area, but as you may remember, we are in the application process for a East Richmond Heights shaded fuel break. So I would like to share with you every step of the project in Lafayette and Walnut Creek so you have a forecast of the activities that, if awarded, will take place in your community. As a reminder, a map is available of the proposed East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break project, which is available through Supervisor Joy's office, and I welcome feedback from the community. Finally, the Bureau has hired 2 new fire inspectors, which have been training under the supervision of the training captain, and we anticipate these personnel starting in the field later this month. With that, Chair Sargent and MAC board members, do you have any questions for me?
No, I will say, Michelle, thank you for that. And I was looking again at the report from last meeting on the fuel break for East Richmond Heights. We do have copies of, the map showing where it is, which essentially runs from the top of the golf course right down through El Cerrito, down through East Richmond Heights, pretty much along Bernhardt all the way down there, and then loops around down at the end where the homes are in McBride, Park Avenue, Dim Way. So, and of course, then it goes up, looks like the middle of the canyon, but I do appreciate that. I'm glad. I'd like you all want a copy of that. We'll make sure that we can get that running. Is that also on the website? This?
If it isn't, it'll be a part of the update newsletter that goes out later this week. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason is I know there are a lot of people that are concerned. In fact, our vice chair had her insurance not renew her fire insurance, and she lived around the corner from me. I also got word today from another neighborhood on the south side of us that another insurance company, there's a CSAA, the is not renewing their fire insurance. And some other neighbors looked at their website and it does not show they insure California. So I think there's, another wave of this coming on with, some mistake going. So I'm hoping that, this fuel break at least gives East Richmond Heights, right along the extreme side of, which is a fire hazard of Rockett, a much needed break. So thank you for that update. I do have a hand here, Glenn.
Yes, at the last meeting, when Supervisor Joya was here and he was presenting, he did say we have dedicated funding for a fuel break and it's in our minutes. So
Yeah.
Michelle, is that what you said makes it sound like we're actually still in the process of getting a fuel break, and yet.
Actually, Supervisor Joya's comments were that they approved 1.1 million funding for 73-acre fuel break in East Richmond Heights. Michelle, is that correct?
So let me help people understand. So Supervisor Joya may allocate funds towards wildfire mitigation, and Ronnie can help clarify what Supervisor Joya's position is on that. Specifically, when I speak about the East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break project, the grant application was submitted in January as part of a CAL FIRE grant. And that has no impact on local county funds. That is a grant application where multiple applicants applied to CAL FIRE directly for funding. So yes, it is consistent with the 73 acres identified by Supervisor Joya. But Ronnie, can you clarify? I think that might have been a miscommunication. When I speak about the East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break, I'm talking about the CAL FIRE grant, where Contra Costa Fire Protection District applied for $1.1 million in funds to complete a East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break.
Yeah, I would have to follow back up with Supervisor Joy just to get clarification on that, and I can that'll be in the newsletter also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. I was wondering if the fuel break, if you have any experience, if then will have the potential to reverse some of the cancellations of the insurance policies, or at least get a reevaluation.
Thank you very much for that question. I think that the most appropriate place for that is with a badged member of the fire department. The town hall meeting in Pinole on May 11th may provide you with a very clear answer and they'll have ample time for questions. So I would like to defer, because I am a contractor and not a badged member of the fire department, the impact on a shaded fuel break on the community, not specifically towards insurance, but the impact or potential fuels reduction is a decision based in fire science. So I'm more comfortable with that answer coming from a badged member of the service, and I'm looking forward to facilitating getting an answer for you. But me providing an answer, that's outside of my scope and education.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Michelle.
First time we saw the map, there were questions from does it include our area, Hotspur Heights? Has that been updated? Like, I think John Joya said, oh, we'll update it to include you.
I think it stops right, so our neighborhood stuff. And then, but there's some coverage that could be done here, but there's like yellows. Yeah, so it is here and we're up here, and so it seems like a constant thing where it's like funding always stops right at the end of like most taking in the entrance of the park. But like we have a lot of the same needs as everyone else, but the funds never make it over there. And I think there's like a lot of concerns with like wildfires. And I think like we're all part of this, but like we're still not included in that, like Liz is saying.
So it doesn't look like this particular fuel break with this funding includes Hotspur Heights.
Because I do recall John Joya saying, oh, well, it's not final and we'll revise it if you need to. So is that still a thing?
Okay, well, we need to get that information now, that's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you please?
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder if if it was included on the El Serante and kind of mitigation that's being done with El Serante, because we use, the house by heights used to be part of El Serante. So, John, you know, if any of the fire, the fuel break, what's being done in the El Serante area? John?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I'm just wondering, like, we're seeing here right now, the fuel break on this side of the ridge, both El Cerrito and East Richmond Heights, but what's being done in El Serante?
So the map in front of you, if we're talking about the same map,
Uh-huh.
and you received that from Supervisor Joya's office?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, and across the top or across the bottom, does it say East Richmond Heights Shaded Fuel Break Project tracking number?
I don't believe it does. I recall that as being given to us by the supervisor as this is proposed. So,
Ronnie, I think what would help here is understanding what map the map board members are looking at, and I will provide you with the project map for the CAL FIRE grant and see where the miscommunication occurred.
Good.
Great. Okay, so, I mean, as of right now, we don't know.
Yeah, I apologize if my goal, of course, is to provide you with accurate information. I don't believe that that I implied that local funds were going to be used. It has always been grant funds. As I've reviewed previously, the funds provided by Measure X for the wildfire mitigation program are $2 million. And this is 1.1 million. So to spend Measure X dollars on one single project, over half of our Measure X dollars, it would not, I would not be prudent. So that's why we sought funding from CAL FIRE, so we didn't have a local impact on taxpayer funds to support one project. As you may remember in my previous reporting, a total of 189 projects had been applied for in 2023, and 79 projects were completed in 2023. So just coming from a place of transparency and funding, I want to be clear that this one project spending, again, $1.1 million in one location, that's why we had to seek outside funds.
Okay.
I hope that helps clarify.
Okay. Anyone here have any questions on compressor fire? Okay, anyone on Zoom, any of you have any questions or comments? Okay. All right, Michelle, thank you very much.
I'll
And-
send that map over to you, Chair, and all the MAC members that I have addresses for. Ronnie, if you could help disseminate that information, I would be greatly appreciative. Again, I want to clarify this, and please let me know, Chair, when consensus is reached on what further action is needed to clear up the miscommunication. Because the last thing that I want to do is leave you with the feeling that the project is not transparent or that I have misrepresented the information in any way.
All right. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
We're to seeing you in two months.
Sounds good.
I'm going to pass on the next two presentations and go to presentation 5, our Contra Costa County Office of Emergency Services, and I want to welcome Jennifer Cannon up.
Hello.
I'm Jennifer Cannon. I'm with the Contra Costa County Office of Emergency Services. We are bringing up my PowerPoint now. So we are renewing our local hazard mitigation plan countywide. We'll go into a little bit more detail, but while we pull it up, it is a 5-year plan. There's some implications in not getting this done. But it is a 5-year plan that covers several things.
Can you see the Tuesday just a minute? Ronnie, are we recording?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can see the red.
Not a problem. Gave them time to pull up my slides.
All right.
Thank you, sir. So the local hazard mitigation plan, it's the 5-year plan that sets mitigation priorities for the county. We have 40 partners working with us, so it is a very, very big project. 16 special districts, 16 cities, 20 special districts, and many county departments are helping us put this all together. There's annexes for all of those districts and cities. Very, very large project. So we're working with them all to identify priority hazards in each of the jurisdictions, including unincorporated. And then identifying mitigation strategies for each of those hazards. So what we're asking for, we are opening up a 6-week comment period. So we are hoping to get this information out to as many community members as possible to review the plan for their areas. And then give us feedback so that we can make the plan as up to date and relevant for the areas as possible. So I'll get into when the 6 weeks starts, but it is very in-depth, and the more people that we can get to help us by providing that commentary, the better. Go ahead. Actually, you want to talk to this?
So just generally, my name is Beatriz Portillo, or I work with Jennifer, also a senior planner. I cover the east side of the county, but I grew up in Richmond, so soft spot for the east side. Just in general, as a whole, we're seeing that disasters, especially climate-related disasters, you know, the winter storms we had in January, or even wildfires are having more impact. So 2023 was actually a really big year disaster-wise. We had across the country $23 billion disasters. That's more than as a nation we've had as a whole, which is why mitigation activity and mitigation planning is really important. The more we can do to get ready for disasters as communities, as individuals, as government, the better our community will fare afterwards, which is one of the reasons why this plan and being involved in this planning process is really important. And then if we go to the next slide.
Cool. Thanks, Pete. So the countywide hazards. So the plan is at a very basic level. There's the county plan, and then every other jurisdiction has their own plan in their own annex. So as far as countywide hazards, the main natural hazards we've identified are climate change, dam and levee failure, drought, earthquake, flood, landslide, sea level rise, which is actually new to the plan this year, severe weather, tsunami, wildfire. And then in addition to that, we add the human caused or technological hazards. So the cybersecurity, hazmat, utility interruptions, active shooter, that sort of thing that's been popping up in recent years. Anything else to add on that?
So the top 3 hazards we identified in the county, and this is countywide as a whole because this is unincorporated, it falls under that. We have earthquakes as our number 1, we have wildfires as our number 2, and we have landslides as our number 3. And this was based on a really data-driven analysis of impact, frequency, and vulnerability to these hazards. Like Jen mentioned, our county actually goes above and beyond. So FEMA only really requires, we talk about the natural hazards, right? But in our county, we have the refineries, we have a lot of chemical facilities, which is why we also talk about those human caused hazards. Because let's be honest, in a disaster, if we have an earthquake near a refinery, that's going to impact our ability to recover and the impact we're gonna have, which is like why we like to cover them.
So, we'll start with our ask for you guys. No, go back, thank you.
Sorry.
You're fine. So how to prepare for disasters. Part of the reason we need this community feedback is so that we can also educate the community as to how to protect themselves when something bad happens. So, learning hazards. So there's a CalOS link right there, which would provide a little bit more information than the links that we have today. Making a kit, like an emergency kit, like a go bag. And we have all sorts of resources on how to kind of make that happen. And practicing the plan, because if you don't practice, practice makes perfect, right? So the sooner everybody can grab their go kits, everybody knows their meeting places, the communications lists are all put together, that will help them protect their families when if the first responders can't or until they can. So part of what we're trying to do is also educate community members on how to support themselves if it's necessary. Good. So getting involved, this is the bulk of what we're here today to do, is get people to read the plan. So I'm imploring you guys as community members, but also as what I can only assume are the leaders of this community, to forward this information on to your neighbors, to your friends and your family, anybody who would be willing to take some time, look at the plan and give us feedback. Because it's imperative to get this approved, but also just to be as relevant as we can to mitigate whatever comes our way. So by all means, please share the links and the documents and everything that we have, because we have to cut it off on May 31st. So we need the comments in by the end of the day.
So, if I could, our public comment window actually opens on Monday, so y'all are getting the sneak preview on what we're going to do. So on April 22nd, you'll be able to go to the county website and look. Y'all will be covered under volume 1, pull up volume 1 and scan through it. A word of caution, since it is a county-wide plan, it is a pretty big plan, right? Because we talk about the hazards, we talk about the vulnerabilities, we talk about the communities. So it's not a read the whole 700 pages of the plan, but it's maybe pick the hazard you're interested in or pick the vulnerability you're interested in, learn a little bit, right? Because every little bit we learn is important. But you'll be able to go to the county website. You'll also get to see how other jurisdictions plan, see what they pick as priorities. And then there'll also be a comment form. Everything for this plan in terms of the outreach material will be available in English, Spanish, Tagalog, and simplified and traditional Chinese. Unfortunately, the plan itself is only available in English just because we're trying to translate into those languages. We couldn't make it happen. But
So it's in the works, but we haven't got any.
yep. But yeah, so check the county website on next week and you'll be able to see a lot more.
Yeah, so I've gotten a couple of business cards, as soon as those, we'll probably get them before, but when the link's go live, hopefully everybody will disperse it amongst yourselves, so that we can start getting that feedback. Oh, that was. So that's what I got. Any questions or?
This will be, this is recorded, and it will be on Joy's website, so we'll be able to share them.
That would be great, yeah. We'll get that to you as soon as we can, because we're still on.
On the 22nd, we're going to find 700 pages.
Oh, at least, that's only one plan. Like Jen talked, we have at least 41 planning partners across special districts, cities. So in our office, we have a bet of how long the plan's gonna be. You will see.
So it's not something we want to print out.
Decidedly not.
All right.
But there's gonna be a lot of sections, there's gonna be a lot of sections that you can kind of scroll. They're either not this part of the county, or it's not something that would necessarily have an effect on you. So I would recommend skimming and finding the sections that actually matter to you.
Do they reference the specific area, so you can just research and how you can find the pages that reference that or are applicable?
For the unincorporated areas, there will be specific mentions. The unincorporated areas won't have their full annexes, kind of like the cities do, but you can do a reference search for like East Richmond Heights, and you'll be able to populate some results.
But it's also a little bit more hazard driven, so being in a wildfire area, you may, for the fires. Or maybe the hazmat section with Chevron being, something.
Okay, Barb.
I'll just say our last meeting, we talked about the CERT training. Is there any sort of partnership that you have, or is that a division of what you're doing? Where you're letting residents know that they can empower themselves and educate themselves on what to do, or even reaching out to neighborhoods about this?
We are partnering with cities that already have CERT to talk about the hazards and how to get ready. Unfortunately, at our office, we don't have the capacity to support CERT in unincorporated areas right now, just between the staffing and the requirements for the county. We are the 9th largest county in the state of California based on population, and we have one of the smallest investments in emergency management across the state. So unfortunately, it's something we do want to do, but not something we can do right now.
Well, residents they can go to Richmond, or they can go to the.
And the other cities are open to it.
Yeah, I went to the San Pablo CERT training. And Joanne, did you get the document that I sent last month from the CERT folks about the different offerings?
I did, and the dates were, had already
Right. I
passed,
think it's
so,
actually another-
oh, okay. Okay, I'll look for a second one.
Yeah, and I'll call them again and get
Okay,
an updated.
yeah, it was already, the series had already started, or it was already over, or something like
I
that.
think we should put that as many places as possible, just information for people to know that they can know how to do it. If there's an emergency, it's a really great program.
Yeah, in general, CERT is a great program for exactly
Yeah.
what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
Empower also. I noticed the CWS alerts, awesome, thank you. The other half of our office will be greatly appreciative of that. We also did bring some flyers in case it helps too. So we do what we can with the little bit that we have at the moment. But we would appreciate everybody's help getting the information out. I have plenty of business cards and we left our phone number up there also. So any questions, by all means, give me a call. We can definitely figure it out. So we appreciate the time. If there's any other questions.
Yeah, I have a question. So like kits are for sure very important, especially for like earthquakes. Is there like a recommended kit? Because like there's a bunch and it's like they're not all the same and it's kind of overwhelming. Is it, you start getting into like the prepper world and then you start getting into like notes that you actually need. And so like,
It is a slippery
Yeah.
slope. There's not really like a free can to go out and pull it off the shelf. Ready.gov is where I would recommend going. They have great recommendations on basic stuff. And then kind of, once you get that and you're comfortable with the idea of a go bag, then there's like, secondary stuff that you can add and kind of tips and tricks on doing it little by little, because not everybody just, dump all sorts of money and time into a go bag. So they have, I would say Ready.gov is the way to go on that.
There's an open organization that I spoke with that would give, I think they said a 10% discount on their kits. And so I think that, I might have sent that to you too, Joanne, that discount.
That doesn't, I don't hear the sound.
I don't know. Make sure.
I guess with question two, how are our comments helpful to you? I mean, we assume you already know the hazards, but does it help set priorities? Does it just, wow.
So that's a great question. So this is actually our second time asking for public comment on this plan. We asked in December, we did meetings in different places, and your comments are taken into account when we're identifying mitigation priorities. for the hazards, you're right, they're kind of ranked for right now, right? But this is a 5-year plan, so if we're seeing lots of residents in this area are like, hey, maybe earthquake isn't our number one, maybe we're more worried about wildfires. In the next planning cycle, that's also really important. But even now, when we're doing the review, if there are mitigation strategies that line up with some of the things like Public Works is doing or considering doing, or other departments, they do help shape those. So it's not that you submit them and then it's like, okay, whatever, thank you. No, we do read them and we do think about how we just put them in there.
Because it's a little bit becoming like a living document.
Right,
Every step kind of updates it a little bit.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments here? Yes.
So your department will want to be present on July 27th. We're having a Arts and Music Festival on Bernhard Avenue, and it's the happening place. Arts and music, and it's a great place to disseminate information. So if you're looking for community places to meet lots of people, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who show up, and there's great music and food, and it's July 27th. Somebody correct me, right?
So I
Right.
think, if I'm not mistaken, you have my business card, correct?
Okay, yeah,
Let's talk about that, but for the comment period, it'll be over May 30th.
okay,
But we do have probably other things we could send.
okay, good,
And thank you.
yes.
Okay. Our neighbors on, on Zoom, do any of you have any questions on this topic? Okay, all right, well, thank you very much. For you guys coming out.
Thank
We appreciate it. All right, I am going to go back to our presentation number 3. We do not have the representatives for our sheriff's department here. And I'll reach out to these guys and talk to them. I know that they'll be here at the next meeting, but we have a concern with the issues going on in Casper Heights. And so I'd like to use their time, since they're not here, for us to just touch base on that. We have had some confusion. The sheriff has been up to the area, in Park Street, Park Avenue, and other streets in that area. I did reach out to Richmond Police. Ronnie, did you ever get something back from Michelle Miller?
Yeah, we spoke a few days ago, and she did say that she would make the attempt to have someone come out. But I did make her aware of what's happening up there, and that we would like to have someone to attend the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I need to kick this down for another 2 months, but we're gonna do some reaching out ourselves. I actually called our Richmond Police Chief. And I called an inside number, their private number, and it turns out that the answering machine is the assistant chief, Simmons. So I left a message that we've got this issue up there where, because of the weird Richmond city limits curling around Contra Costa County, we've had residents up there that they call Richmond Police who say, that's not us, call the county. I guess sometimes they call the county and they've said, no, that's not us, call Richmond. Meanwhile, there's criminal activity going up on Casper Heights. So I did not get a call back yet. I will follow up. I'll work it from the top down. And
Is there a way to address this sooner than 2 months from now? Can we do like a sidebar?
well, once we've got the key players, we know who it is with the sheriff's department. I know they're busy, and the lieutenant was just taken over, is brand new to this. But we need Richmond Police. The good news about Highway Patrol, because Highway Patrol actually has some jurisdiction there in the unincorporated area. I was able to reach Sergeant Drain is his name, who was very interested, and I told him, up here in the past, I guess we got spoiled. We had some of the greatest CHP officers up here. Who I will mention, Sean Wilkenfeld, Sergeant John Sotto, these guys are retired. Andre Gavelchik, Conrad Abernathy, Cosimo Bruno, these guys were stars. And this was dealing with the traffic problems, that we've had, people running the red lights when children are simply trying to cross the street to go to the Mira Vista School. And, we've got another school, Arlington Christian School up there. The pastor in charge of the school is very concerned about traffic. They actually have somebody out there now with a stop sign. And the morning rush hour people are just flying through there anyway. They're going around kids. And then the other intersection, the third one is in front of Arlington Market, where I almost stepped in, walking my grandson across the street. So he was very concerned, and I know that as far as East Richmond Heights, we're gonna start seeing some enforcement up here. But we need to get them connected, and he told me he's turning it over to management, and they will get someone back in contact with me to deal with this Astor Heights area as far as the highway patrol. Have some help. So I think we're gonna close that one. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to get the Richmond police. Maybe you could read that. I left a message for one of the assistant chiefs voicemail. I'll pursue this, and then once we've got all three groups, then I guess what we should probably do is call like a special meeting or something where we can just talk about these issues. You know, I would want the two of you guys definitely there. I can read what's happening in Astor Heights, but you guys live there and you see it. So let's plan on doing that. I know we have to be careful of the Brown Act on what we say and do. We certainly can educate these three different agencies, Richmond Police.
Hi, Bruce, just a minute.
Yes. I'm not sure what that was. So anyway. And the highway patrol. Okay, so when I got the connections to the three, then we'll get together and we'll talk and see what we can do, you know, about this before 2 months from now.
That would be awesome.
And
There was
Liz,
also there was also a question of a private road. Can you also figure that out? Because we've been trying to figure that out for 2 years.
I know it is. I'm not sure how that plays into it either. We may have to look through the county on that, because the county records do not show it's a private road. I know it says it right on the signpost. But if you go in and look at the assessor's maps and the parcel maps, it doesn't say anything about it being a private road. I couldn't.
That's interesting.
I'm not sure who, you know, someone in the county is gonna, you know.
Maybe someone just put up their own little sign.
find that out.
Yeah, we certainly, I think we got a bill at one point for paving that road. Because it's.
Is that right?
I mean, we did one of paying for, I think PG&E actually wanted to pay for it.
They,
Right.
something like they were already doing work and they like happened to also just like would pay part of it. I don't know if it was the whole thing, but.
All right.
And then Richmond residents are using that road to get to their house. So it's not fair that the county residents are having to foot the bill for Richmond folks to get through just because Richmond decided to annex part of a neighborhood without direct road access. So, yeah, maybe a longer discussion now, but I guess that.
Okay. I, as far as the trouble, the issues, when I've got all three, you know, connections, then we'll talk and we'll go from there. As far as the jurisdiction issues, you know, that it is a weird thing, the Richmond city limits. If you look on the map, it really does twist. And, you know, and so we need to, I think, get answers to that. So in the future, you know, there's no confusion. And Lizzie?
Yes, Lizzie, yeah.
So if you'd like to help us out too, you know, I think that's important. You know, we're all one now. We're East Richmond Heights and the Astor Heights group. And, you know, we want to do what's right for the neighbors in all areas. Does anyone on the Zoom call have any comments or questions about this? Okay, anyone else here? Okay. The next item would be presentation by the Highway Patrol, and I'm pretty sure that by the next meeting, they will join us either in person or on Zoom. Okay, so then we'll go to the discussion item. The first update is 2024 East Richmond Heights Art and Music Festival. And I have compiled a list of people who are signing up to volunteer. And I'm going to post a notice on Nextdoor probably this weekend, opening it up so that we get other neighbors who haven't followed us to this point to help sign up to do that. We do need, a leader or two, maybe a team that are gonna, oversee, MC this event. And I've got 11 names on the list so far, so that is good. I know there'll be some more. So I'm taking care of that. I'm going to also begin the permitting process. When I talked to Sergeant Drain from Highway Patrol, he told me that he knows who I would have to talk to get, because they have to sign off on the permit for the festival too. The sheriff's department, we know who that is, and then we have Concord House of Fire. They will sign off on it. We know who that is. So, is there any questions or comments on this? We're just gonna start moving now. Let's
You
get
said the 27th, is that what you're saying? Is
July
that
27th.
a Saturday?
Yes,
Okay.
And was that confirmed by the church? with the
Yes.
bathrooms or whatever?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. So Don Yo with the Gayuto Foundation, the temple there, has said that date works for them. They were very generously opened the temple up so that we've got respiratory people. And, their buildings are open and people to visit and walk through the gardens. So we appreciate that very much. And then Leonard Sweet, who lives across the street by the vacant lot and has really improved it. It's actually got a lawn out there now. Will help with what we do. There is a bandstand or a stand already there for the musicians, and so we'll look for some people to help out with that, either in coordination or the actual music.
John, what are the hours
I was just going to match what we did 2 years ago,
and what was that?
and the setup is several hours in the morning, but it probably is going to run like 11 to about 5 o'clock.
Okay. And, do you happen to know for the record what the actual address is that we use? Because people who use map,
Yeah.
devices to get to an event need to have an actual address.
Well, it's the southern end of Bernhard.
With,
The street address is Bernhard and Elm,
okay,
the intersection there. But, we close off, under the permit process, we'll close off a couple of blocks there. And there will be food trucks there, so that like last time,
okay.
people will be able to get food also.
And is there like you got stuff going out, I don't know, letting the community know?
We actually have a Facebook page that Natalie Neese set up, and it's there. I mean, you just have to simply send a link out for people to be able to see it once we update the information. And, so she's sort of helping a little bit in the background. She doesn't do it. Any questions or comments on the festival? Okay. All right, then we'll go to our subcommittee reports. We have the land use committee. Joanne?
Okay, so we had a meeting yesterday evening, Jim Ray and myself were at the meeting. We had the land use subcommittee. We reviewed two requests for variances. The first is at 2116 Hillcrest Road in San Pablo. And they were requesting an application to allow a 7-foot side yard where a 10-foot is the minimum, and an 8-foot 8-inch side yard where a 10-foot is the minimum. We reviewed that, and it seemed to be, especially the rear yard, the adjacent property in back of that was a good 20 feet away from the property line, so it ended up being almost 30 feet. We recommended approval of variance on that. The second one was at 5924 Park Avenue in Richmond. And, that one was for a request to approve of a variance application to allow a 0-foot setback where 20 feet is the minimum and a 0-foot side yard where 5 feet is the minimum for a retaining wall with a maximum height of 6 feet that will retain the dirt for a new driveway and deck previously approved. Apparently this originated from the building official. The driveway was already approved and the building official thought that there was not necessary to have a retaining wall. So we recommended a conditional approval with the condition that to require vegetation on the street facing side of the retaining wall between the retaining wall and the street to screen and soften the appearance of the concrete retaining wall. And that's it. Any questions?
The address of the park again was
5924.
Okay. And then the one on Hillcrest, that's, I guess, way around the also Granite Center.
Yes, it's very confusing, talking about all of it. I probably a site visit, and that was not easy.
Okay. All right, very good. Any questions from anyone on the land use committee? And I do want to welcome Jin Wei, who is also on the committee, and that.
I'm here. Sorry, everyone. Just not able to make it in person.
We'll show you joining us later. So no questions, comments? Okay, we'll go to the agenda item, which we don't have anything under. Yes. Yeah, I know where it is. I know where 15 Hillcrest is. That's so, but yeah, and is that actually Hasford? Or is it considered El Sobrante or?
Well, it's a San Pablo address. So mine. So you are too, right?
Yeah, it's by the town, so it's right across the street.
Yes.
I think it's it looks kind of abandoned, and it's got like
It
an
does.
iron gate.
It looks like an event is boarded up, and I think someone's purchased it and they're going to rehabilitate it.
Yeah.
Enlarge it.
I know the townhouse, because I know the HOA president of that townhouse, and they, I think it's just really run down. They'll be happy, right?
It's a tremendous improvement.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is just, it doesn't have anything tied to it. Is there any ideas on speakers for upcoming MAC meetings that everybody has? Like so continue with the letter. So then the next one, sorry, Joanne, has postponed. We were looking forward to that too, about the yurt and mysterious buildings, but that will be in 2 months, right?
Yes.
And so, I'd actually like to just pass it back for a moment to Fran, because he has an update on the last report that he did.
Yeah, I could use the public comment for 2 minutes if that's the time.
You might as well. do that.
Yeah.
That's good.
I've been interested in a building at Felix and Bernhard, where I live, for a few months now. It's been for sale, and I won't do the realtor's job, but it's dropped a little. There's some interest, but who knows what will happen. It's an unusual place with 2 houses and a commercial building, one of the few commercially zoned areas in Thunder. And after doing a little more research, I did discover, I knew it was an old recording studio. I found a little bit more. I've got my t-shirt here for Psychotic Pineapple. In the Hall of Fame in Cleveland, but you would have seen them last month at the Ivy Room in Albany. This many years later, they're still playing. So it's a local band that recorded there along with some others. It's an interesting aspect of a little bit of history that goes on in our neighborhood.
Is that the building with like all the windows are painted over?
Windows are painted over. It's really empty inside. It was a grocery, Wampa Grocery in the 1940s. And the Lampas are also a local family, still in business, living around here.
The son runs the recycling building that's down across
By
from
the
the Target,
Target
by
and
the Target, the big building used to be Toys R Us.
But, the recording studio was installed around 1979, and it's just interesting that there's still people around that remember it, and some of the band members lived in the neighborhood, and they have stories to tell as well, even though they've moved on to other parts of the area.
So it's for sale?
It's for sale now.
Yeah, and
One
it
point
also,
three
the
million dollars.
Sykes Market, when I was young growing up here, it's a grocery store. in Burton.
We should buy it and open it.
We went through and looked in the house and there's a house next door and a sub apartment is immaculate, beautiful. The recording studio is, well, it has a kitchen, it's got a bedroom area, and then a big open hall inside that hasn't been renovated. You know, somebody would have quite a bit of work to do.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye, see what happens.
What's that
with it.
address?
It's 6026 Bernhardt.
Corner of Bernhardt and Felix.
Arizona, Felix.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting, oddball place. There's a lot of those around here.
Yes, there it is. We're finding out more.
We should have some of those band members come.
Maybe they could come in July,
Yeah, kind of,
rock and roll.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway, thanks.
All right, friends, thank you. All right, announcements. I threw something in here, because we actually discussed it sort of lightly. But I want to give everyone an update on the potholes on Arlington Boulevard. We actually had a neighbor who started spray painting around them because they were so bad and people were hitting their cars. After I spoke to Ron, he asked, I took pictures of the bigger potholes and sent it in. And they come up and we fill them in. So while it's still a little bumpy, at least we don't have those damaging holes that are there. So that got taken care of. Thanks, Ron, for getting that off to action. Okay, at this point, then we'll go to public comment. This is for items not on the agenda. We ask that you limit your speaking to 2 minutes. Would anybody here in the room first like to say anything? Okay, anybody on Zoom? Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Hello, Chair and Matt. I would like to request permission for a future agenda item for the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District to present our local hazard mitigation plan annex document to you during the public comment period.
Okay, do you want to do it during public comment, or would you want to do it, during the fire, presentation time?
Oh, I'm sorry. Similar to how Jennifer and Beatrice presented the local hazard mitigation document tonight, wherever you see fit, I yield to your preference.
Okay, yeah, it would be presentation number 2.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Very happy to have you do that for us, sure.
Happy to be here.
Okay. Let's see. Michelle. Okay. Michelle, did you have anything else? Because your hand is still up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'm busy typing approved. Yay!
In a way, do you have?
Yes, I do. I would like to put in a proposal that we should put an item site onto our future agenda, or somehow we can discuss that site and potentially can put in some recommendation and also amendment of the general plan. So because the things like the school district is going to sell the going to sell the site to some developers. So I think it's beneficial for the neighborhood to be able to input their comments into the future of that site.
Okay.
I didn't catch, what site is she talking about?
Item site.
The Adams site?
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the current zoning regulation, I believe, is 10 to 20 units per acre. And it's probably a little high for the neighborhood in the context of neighborhood. So I think should be discussed in the future meeting.
Yeah, so Joanne, showed me that it actually has been added in, is that the East Richmond Heights plan?
There's the actions of the East Richmond Heights guidance section of the general plan. And there is a, you want me to read?
Yeah, could you do that?
Action item number 4 is assist a community-led process to coordinate with the Richmond Unified School District on a plan for the future of Adams Middle School. The site should be a model for sustainable green development that meets the housing, including workforce housing, retail, recreational, and service needs of the community while mitigating impacts to the existing neighborhood. I did do a little, I thought if I come today, I did do a little research on this afternoon. And as of, let's see, what's the date on this map? I think it's 12/11/23. The Adams site is zoned mixed use low, which is 10 to 30 dwelling units per net acre. And under the general plan, mixed use low density is the definition is allows for various housing types, including tiny homes, townhouses, condominiums, apartments, studios, live-work units, and micro units, along with a wide range of neighborhood serving retail, personal service, office, entertainment, and public uses. This designation is applied where a modest level of mixed-use development is appropriate, such as pedestrian scale corridors, neighborhood nodes, and individual or small groups of parcels generally encompassing less than 1 acre. So I know, Jim, you had some questions about height limitations, and I did email Will Nelson this afternoon. He actually got back to me. It's amazing. And because the general mixed use housing, mixed use low density is not in the zoning code at this time, in our current zoning code. So there's going to be a zoning update, and Will said the zoning update has begun and will occur in phases following adoption of the general plan, with the first phase likely being adopted within 12 to 18 months. So the zoning will actually establish development standards and height limits and FARs and things like that. So we don't have that right now. But I also did some research on densities, and actually depending on parking and how you design the parking, you can have anywhere from, I've got some visuals of some between 10 and 30 units per dwelling per acre, per net acre, that are 3 stories, 2 to 3 stories. And right now we're zoned R6 and our height limit is 2.5 stories in the East Richmond Heights R6 neighborhood. So these, depending on how they're designed.
So right now, I think this is 3-story.
Yes, it's at least 3 stories, if not more.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, it's really important for me, density is important, but how that density is designed is really important to make it compatible with building forms in our neighborhood, how that parcel is designed to integrate with the existing street grid. I don't know if there was some streets from your last presentation that were closed for the Adams School height, and maybe we need to look at those and see how they integrate with our current street grid. So anyway.
Yeah, I just feel like we should put on top of the zoning. The zoning goes to that's maybe in 12 to 18 months. As a neighborhood, we should put on top of the zoning of what we would like to see. And if that site is going to happen with several apartment building, based on the density and the parking lot around. I think neighbors around it will be really upset to see that happen in the middle of the neighborhood. So maybe we should put some kind of guideline on top of the zoning requirement, since it's not coming out for another 12 to 18 months.
Right. Well, and I just want to mention while we're here to everybody, they did extend the comment period. I think the ending of the comment period is this next week, I think April 22nd. So if anybody wants to comment on any of this.
Yeah, can you send that info, just because like we're in a housing shortage, and at least for like younger folks, it is important to be like build more housing is like, it's very affordable to live in California right now. And so I think to some other neighbors, it's like also very important that density is added to our neighborhoods to make it more affordable to live.
Well, this is going to be a greater density than, I think the density for R6 is where we are now currently is under 7 units per acre. And this density goes for the other side is 10 to 30 units per. I'm just sharing these with you, but you know, this just illustrates how you can. It really depends on how it's designed, because it's the same density, and it's really a different design. I don't know if you can. I don't know if I put these on. You can't see this, but you can have the same density really look like it fits in more because it's got the roads, or you can do really high-rise density if you're building. So to me, the design is really important in how we approach that, and how we hopefully we'll have a community design is submitted to the city, because it's so much better to get our ideas out there rather than reacting to something that's already coming in, so.
Okay, Adele, I see your hand up.
Hi. So I'm just wondering, Joanne, if you could give us a little bit of insight on how the neighborhood who's concerned about the design, which we definitely are, for all the reasons you cited, what is the best way to insert ourselves into the process so that our input is considered and adopted early on?
From my experience, it's really called a community design charrette, but I hate to use the word charrette because it turns people off. So I would rather say community design workshop. So I think there should be a community design workshop led by professionals in the field, which is sort of the status quo of how this happens in every community with projects like this, and it really reduces the anxiety, and it helps educate people with the idea that yes, we need density, I agree, but we really need to make sure it's designed well. And I would hope, I'm actually gonna edit this and send in some comments to Will. I would hope that we could have one, and that from that community design workshop, we might develop some simple design standards and guidelines for the site that would, to character, materials, building form, all kinds of things that makes it a wonderful place, as opposed to, you know, 4 high-rise buildings that are. So I hope that we'll be able to pursue that path prior to an application. So
Yeah, I would just, encourage that we all do whatever we can to support that path. It makes so much sense. And, but it's, it's not all that common. It's all not that common in this area right now. So.
The El Segundo Plaza had one at a community design workshop, and I don't know how long you've lived here, but there used to be
Yeah.
lucky stores.
Yep. Yeah, but that was city of El Cerrito, and generally cities, and it's just, the county is so large that it's a little bit harder. Generally, staff don't have the same connection with the residents in the communities that you do in a city. Having worked for both. So I would and our supervisor's office has been awesome at keeping in touch with us. But there's another step. And so I think that also planning, receiving comments, Will receiving comments from us has really brought us a little bit more to the fore in staff's consideration. So we should continue to be involved. Thank you.
The comment period ends next week. I would encourage anybody who feels the same way to send a comment to encourage a community design workshop and developing design guidelines and standards for the site.
Okay, Fran, did you?
If I can add to this, yeah, I think it's important people show up and be heard and maybe have to lobby for that, because there's many cases where people don't bother until it's all done.
Yeah.
But I remember when Adams was in session, my son went to school here at Crestlawn and the traffic gridlock. So I'd also say, don't forget about just putting housing somewhere. There's a lot that goes around that, the transit, or transit around here, things like that. So there's a lot of factors in to make it a good fit.
Okay. Eleanor, I see your hand up.
Thanks, John. I just wanted to, oh, sorry about that blur. I just wanted to thank Joanne for the comments and Adele also, and clarify whether comments were due in by Monday. Is that correct, or did I hear wrong?
And I told that, I know they were extended and I got an email on that and I thought I finished so much stuff. Finding it, but I'm sure it's next week.
Yeah, the 22nd, by 5.
Yeah. I wonder if we could perhaps get an email or something, Joanne, with the kind of language you were using, since this is your field, so that we might have parallel comments that we're sending in.
Sure, we do that.
Ronnie, is that something?
Yeah, if you want to add that to the newsletter with the link, so that people can comment, I can add that to the newsletter that goes out later.
It just sounds like as though we need to have things in by Monday, and this is late Wednesday. That's all.
If you can get it in tomorrow, I normally send the newsletter out Thursday, Friday. So yeah, it'll definitely
Thank
be
you so much. Thanks, appreciate it.
Anyone else have anything about this topic? Is there anything else under public comment anyone would like to say?
About the regularity of these meetings. I don't know if this is time to plant the seed of whether it's possible to meet more at certain times of the year rather than every month, so that more.
So Bara is interested in meeting more than 6 times a year.
And me. I want to tell you, only maybe 4 times. Right, and yeah, I'll put to 6.
We have a lot of challenges, like facing the neighborhood right now, I feel like, and, I think there's like a lot of work that needs to be done, and I don't know, but again, I'm new, so I defer to you guys, but it seems like we've got a lot of traction, at least in Hesford Heights, because we've been ignored for years, and there's like a lot of frustration on that side, things not moving quickly. But yeah,
council members. I'm not really in favor of it. I'm already, my bandwidth is so full right now. But it certainly could be shared with our co-chair. And that's, I'm opposed to it. I understand. With all that's going on. I'm wondering if we would want to be meeting with the same format every single month. Maybe we would alternate presentations as it is now, just every other month, which is what they're accustomed to. And then maybe like a sub-meeting. Ronnie, I don't know if you've been around supervisors in his other areas. Do you know how often they meet?
Yes, I'm liaison for Elsa Bronte also, and they meet monthly.
Every month?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Do they have a much larger agenda, or do they?
No, it's about the same. Yeah, there's not really any differentiation.
I mean, it could be like considered short term, or, yeah, I digress to what you guys think is best.
well, you guys tell me, would you want to keep it on the same Wednesday? Does that work for you also, Ronnie?
So monthly third Wednesday of every month.
We're gonna do monthly for a while.
I just have to convince my wife with lots of tacos, but so I have to convince my wife with tacos afterwards, but that should work.
Well, I think it's significant as we work on the Arts and Music Festival. That's one time of the year that's significant to keep on top of things. But maybe there could, like you said, that we can alternate with the format of the meeting. I think once we get into the Adams site, it's be more important to do that. Hopefully we have some pre-influence on the site. And, I don't know.
Yeah, because it seems like this will be impacting the neighborhood a lot, and it would be important to kind of get ahead of it and be prepared on like how to tackle this, because like, I think everyone wants density, but then we want it to fit the neighborhood, and so we need to have a plan to do that, and then there's also like other issues with crime that need to be addressed and traffic, and I don't think 4 times a year is gonna make, like, there's just a lot of issues that we need to kind of tackle. So,
Joanna, would this building be available for us?
I'm pretty sure it would be, yeah.
Okay. Well, Shinwei, do you have some feedback on this?
Not there.
No. I'm good. And just thank you so much to let me talk about the item set issue, and looking forward we can get more community input about the future set design.
We'll be able to attend meetings every month.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well,
The Wednesday, right? That sounds good.
yeah, so I would say let's go ahead. I would want to keep it the same day.
It's the third Wednesday.
Yeah, I have to see. I don't think I'm here next month.
What is the third Wednesday?
Yeah, it'll be gone the 15th to the 18th.
May 15th. What's the following month, June?
19th is the next regular one. So we could, let's go ahead and schedule it. I'm gonna be on a plane that day, so I won't be here. So we would have our vice chair take over now. She's out of town, and one of you will have to. And I would say, Joanne, since you did it for so many years, would you be willing to take care of that? If Victoria can't make that?
Sure, May 15th, on June 19th, I'm gonna be traveling, I think, so.
Okay.
Be back.
I think I can do the 19th of June. I want to be here that day in May. So, okay, then, I don't think we need to do that with a motion, we just decide Would you like to make that motion? All right, so for now, our East Richmond Heights and Hampstead Heights MAC meetings will meet monthly. On the third Wednesday, third Wednesday of each month. To address, these larger issues that are also in motion and try to put these on. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
I
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries, so.
In light of that, for the next May 15th meeting, maybe we can have, the names of the person who's, a good person that can come and do some presentation about where the school district is with Adams. I don't know.
Gosney,
Don Dawson.
was that who you were thinking of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Don was around over here, but he's part of the 7-Eleven committee.
So maybe
He's both hands and feet in that, yeah. So maybe it will need to invite Don to come to that meeting. Yes, Jim.
Does the MAC have to make the decisions about spending money on things? The church now has a sign holder up there. If the MAC bought some signs that it could say MAC meeting Wednesday, 6:30, that would help advertise. I also think there should be a sign that's behind the speakers that says East Richmond Heights. So when someone sees the recording, it's really driven home.
I was thinking that too. I was thinking we should have some signage
Yeah.
of some kind.
Which can be used at the Arts and Music Festival too, but does it, I don't know, does everything have to go through, like, be voted on, or can someone just spend money and ask to be reimbursed?
I'm still learning the rules also. Yeah, I reached out to someone and they did say that you can be reimbursed. So I guess you just, as long as it's yes, there are stipulations with that, but
If Mac would pay the insurance for the festival 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Right, it's called
Yeah.
meeting supplies.
yeah.
And when I asked Ronnie about if we could be reimbursed for refreshments, I was told no. But I was told that the list that I submitted of office supplies could, but yeah, but my understanding, Ronnie, was that I couldn't get reimbursed and that it had to go through the county, that somebody in the county was gonna buy the supplies.
No, sorry, that I'm still learning the process, so
Okay.
that may have been my slip up, but if you can be reimbursed if as long as it fits within that.
Do we have to
stipulations.
have it be a motion by the MAC?
No.
No, okay.
I mean, I can motion it because I think it is important to have signage, both like a banner for Zoom calls and like just a sign so people know that we meet here, I think, but. Do we have a logo? I don't think so either. So I think in the next one we could.
Why don't we put it out to the community and see if someone in the community wants to design a logo?
Nice. Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Joanna, is that something you would be interested in? Alan?
Well, I'm happy to put something in the next newsletter, that comes out in June, and I'll call, I mean, it could be something that at the Arts and Music Festival, there's sort of an all call for artists there to say, we need a logo,
When I first moved here, there was something, I think it was on Hipster.com, where it was like, hey, there's a lot of artists living in this area. Let's all get together for a potluck. And there were like 50 people in this person's house. It wasn't specifically an incorporated area, it was in Richmond. And everyone just went around and talked about the arts. I can try to find that email
Okay.
and see, and then put it out to that community. And then there's the community there's that whole community in the Richmond, like, they kind of put Richmond where Rosie, like, there's like that interesting.
You know, I don't know that we need to go to Richmond, but we have Phil.
Like maybe we need to know.
Who is involved in arts, who lives at the corner of Broadway. Right there, meetings. I could reach out to him and see what he thinks of that. He's right here.
Well, I just have something to throw out there. Why don't we make this part of the arts and music festival? That's just the medical center. Yeah, I should know.
Other submissions?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Whoever wants to sign up, and then decide where we go from there.
We can actually get some vote.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And maybe someone can donate, maybe
So that's for East Richmond Heights / Casper Heights.
and maybe someone can donate, like, some of the stores can donate prizes or something.
You only have $3,000.
2,800.
It's a volunteer, or like the winery, you know what I mean, the winery might want to donate some wine.
We definitely will add it to the agenda for the festival. Because I mean, we have to keep really looking into what race or the show. Okay. All right. That's it here. Anything else anyone wants to talk?
I just want to like say a few things here. One is that Jellies is still gonna have to do and the same volume and the same amount of work that Country Cross Ambulance Services is doing, and they're not gonna have this. So this is an issue because they're doing the same volume as a whole county. Also in Sacramento, a bill just got through committee to have more communication between shelters and rescue groups. It's still has many more layers to go through, but it did pass, which is amazing. And I'm certainly curious about the new draft.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right, if that is it, then we will adjourn the meeting at 8:16. And